Hashtag HOA Karen called 911 when I refuse her lake usage fee. She didn't know I own the lake. Entitled people. My name is Alexander Thorne, and for the last 5 years, I've lived on the edge of Willow Lake Estates, a gated community of upscale homes wrapped around what everyone calls the community lake. The houses are big, the lawns are manicured, and the residents are mostly pleasant, except for one. Her name is Marlene Hargrove, but everyone behind her back calls her HOA Karen. She's the self-appointed enforcer of every rule, real or imagined, and the treasurer of the Homeowners Association. Marlene drives around in a white golf cart with HOA official stenciled on the side, clipboard in hand, looking for violations like overgrown hedges or holiday lights up past January. I bought my property separately from the development. It's a modest 3-bedroom house on 5 acres, with direct frontage on the lake. When the developer subdivided the land back in the early 2000s, he sold off the lots for the estates, but kept the lake and a strip of surrounding land in a separate parcel. That parcel changed hands a few times until I snapped it up at auction for a steal, along with full ownership of the lake bed, the water rights, and exclusive access. The HOA has easements for basic shoreline use, like walking paths and a small communal dock, but nothing more. They certainly don't own it, and they definitely don't control it. For years, I kept a low profile. I let neighbors fish from my dock if they asked nicely, hosted the occasional community barbecue on my beach, and even allowed the kids to swim there in summer. I figured good neighbors make good fences unnecessary. But Marlene had other ideas. It started small. She'd send letters about unauthorized structures when I built a new boathouse. Then complaints about my pontoon boat being too large for community waters. I ignored most of it, replying politely with copies of my deed when needed. The HOA grumbled, but backed off until Marlene decided to monetize the lake. Last spring, the HOA sent out a newsletter announcing a new lake usage and maintenance fee of $500 per household annually. It claimed the money would go toward upkeep, stocking fish, and safety patrols. Never mind that the lake is spring-fed, self-sustaining, and I've been the one paying for fish stocking out of my own pocket for years. The fee was mandatory for all properties benefiting from lake access, which apparently included me, even though I'm not in the HOA. I laughed when I got the invoice addressed to me. I emailed back, "Thanks, but no thanks. I own the lake. Happy to discuss reasonable shared maintenance if you'd like." That should have ended it. But Marlene doesn't take no for an answer. One Saturday morning in June, I was out on my dock, launching my kayak for a peaceful paddle. The sun was just rising, mist hovering over the water. Perfect. Then I heard the whine of a golf cart. Marlene pulled up, clipboard in hand, wearing oversized sunglasses and a visor that screamed entitled. "Mr. Thorne," she barked, stepping onto my dock without invitation. "You're in violation." I paused, paddle in hand. "Morning, Marlene. Violation of what, exactly?" "The lake usage fee. You haven't paid. As of today, you're delinquent. That means no access to community waters until you settle the balance." I couldn't help but chuckle. "Marlene, this is my dock. My lake. You can't charge me for using my own property." Her face turned red. "This lake is a community amenity. We've maintained it for decades. The HOA has rights." "Actually, you don't. Check the county records. I own it outright." She waved her clipboard dismissively. "I don't need to check anything. Pay the fee, or I'll have to report you for trespassing on HOA property." "Trespassing? On my own dock?" "That's right. And if you don't comply right now, I'll call the authorities." I shrugged and pushed off of my kayak. "Go ahead. Enjoy your day." I was about halfway across the lake when I heard sirens. 2 sheriff's deputies arrived on my property, lights flashing. Marlene was standing triumphantly by her golf cart, phone in hand. The deputies were polite but firm. "Sir, we got a 911 call about a trespasser refusing to leave private property and potentially causing a disturbance." I paddled back, tied up, and greeted them with a smile. "Officers, good morning. I'm Alexander Thorne. This is my home, my dock, and my lake." Marlene interrupted shrilly. "He's lying. He's not even in the HOA. He's squatting on community land and refusing to pay fees." One deputy raised an eyebrow. Ma'am, you called 911 for a fee dispute. It's theft of services. He's using our lake without contributing. I pulled out my phone and showed them the county property app, complete with parcel maps and my deed. Here's the ownership record. The lake is mine. The HOA has limited easements, nothing more. The deputies looked it over, then turned to Marlene. Ma'am, this appears to be private property. Mr. Thorne is the owner. But the community has always used it. That's a civil matter, not criminal. And calling 911 for this? That's misuse of emergency services. Marlene sputtered. I thought he was trespassing. The second deputy sighed. We'll need to document this. Mr. Thorne, do you want to press charges for false report? I thought about it. Marlene looked like she might faint. No, officers. Just make sure she understands this isn't HOA property. They warned her sternly about abusing 911 and left. Marlene stormed off in her golf cart, muttering threats about lawsuits. Word spread fast. By evening, half the neighborhood was texting me apologies. Turns out, plenty of residents resented the new fee, especially since no one could remember the HOA ever spending a dime on the lake. I decided it was time to set things straight. I printed copies of the deed, the original plat maps showing the lake as a separate parcel, and a history of my ownership. Then I hosted an impromptu lakeside meeting on my beach, inviting everyone. Over burgers and beers, I explained the situation. The lake isn't community-owned. Never was. The developer kept it separate. I've been generous with access, but if the HOA wants to charge fees for something they don't control, that's fraud. Murmurs turned to outrage. Several people admitted they'd paid the fee under pressure. One neighbor, a lawyer, offered to help draft a demand letter for refunds. The next HOA meeting was chaos. Marlene tried to defend the fee, claiming implied rights and historical use. But with my documents circulating, residents voted overwhelmingly to table the fee indefinitely and demand an audit of HOA funds, especially since Marlene had already collected from a few intimidated homeowners. Marlene resigned as treasurer that night, citing stress. The new board scrapped the lake fee entirely and sent formal apologies to me. But I wasn't done. Access had always been informal, based on goodwill. After Marlene's stunt, goodwill was gone. I installed a tasteful gated fence along the easement boundaries with a keypad lock. I posted new signs, private property, lake access by permission only. Then I sent a certified letter to the HOA. Effective immediately, all non-riparian access, meaning anyone without direct ownership frontage, is revoked until a formal agreement is reached. No more communal dock, no more beach parties, no more fishing from my shoreline. Panic ensued. Families who'd enjoyed summer swims begged for access. I was reasonable. I issued key codes. Neighbors who'd always been respectful. But Marlene denied. She showed up at my gate one day, pleading, "Alex, please. My grandkids love swimming here." Sorry, Marlene. Private property. You taught me that when you call the cops on me. She tried the HOA angle again, threatening legal action. My lawyer neighbor laughed and offered to represent me pro bono. The HOA backed down fast. They negotiated a fair annual license for limited access, $1,000 total, which I use for actual maintenance like fish stocking and erosion control. Everyone pays a tiny, prorated share voluntarily. Marlene sold her house 6 months later and moved away. Rumor is she couldn't stand the dirty looks from neighbors who'd gotten refunds on her bogus fee. These days, the lake is peaceful again. Kids swim, families fish, and I kayak whenever I want on my lake. And if anyone asks about fees, I just smile and say, talk to the owner.